Okay, I'm going to do a quick review of what we've done so far. Somebody remind me what packet tracer we're actually on.
2.2.3.4.
3.4, got it.
2 point what?
3.4.
You should already have it.
Let's see.
Oh, wait,
Modules. I'll move this over to here so people can actually see what the hell I'm doing. Okay, modules, then 2.4.3.4? 2.2.3.4? All right. So configuring basic switches. I'm going to start from the beginning on it just because I know a little bit of what I'm doing. I can get through it pretty quick. I'm going to open it up.
Well, that's the new one.
What?
That's the new one.
Oh, yeah, you can open the new one. I didn't save it. So, yeah, there's that. Close that. Move my instructions over here and the packet tracer over here. Okay. You have an updated packet tracer? Yeah, I had it installed on that. Connor sits there, so I had him do that. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and hit the fast forward on mine so I can get all the connections up on that. But, like I said last time, I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. What I'm going to try to do is type out the entire command so that you guys can keep up. Okay? Feel free to use the abbreviate command. Yes, Weston. Go to the little dots in the top right on your where you in Gmail, and you should say find MEET, M-E-E-T, and then it says join net 1, no space. Okay. All right. Also, so you're aware, I'm going to record this. I'm also going to upload it. Just look for probably NCK Tech IT, and this video of this lesson will be there, so you can review it when you leave. All right. So we're talking specifically about in this packet tracer is getting into the CLI and putting basic configurations onto our switch. So let's see, we're going to start with S1, which is this router right here. We're going to click on it, open up the CLI. Excuse me, as we can see from the display, is that our basic setup is going to give us it's starting up. The switch has started up. And this information is exactly what you're going to get every time it does when it starts up afresh, if you're logged into it from the get-go, okay? All right, just got to hit enter so that you have the user config, your standard user config, or exec mode, rather. Yeah. But we want to get into a more privileged. Go ahead and type in enable. So now I have to retrain myself, thanks, guys, to write the whole command out instead of just the partial one. Yeah. All right, now you can see our config, actually, you can read that really very legibly now. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Of course. Oh, well, that's all right. I'm going to keep doing this so you can see exactly. There's no confusion. Anyway, so now you can see that the little alligator went away, and we've got the hashtag or the pound, whatever you want to call it, is now up. Okay, so from that point, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we can, we want to see what we have. So when you first time you ever turn on a switch, if you don't know that you're the first person who has or hasn't turned it on, then you're going to want to use that running dash config. There you go. And that's going to give you very basic information. Now keep in mind, all the switches that we're using, at least in this exercise, are going to have at least 24 ports on. So it's going to take a little bit to get through all of it. So we see the host name is listed as switch. We've got a lot of defaults. Then our interfaces start with fast Ethernet 01. Hit the space bar, and you can see all the way to 13. Again, to 24. And then it starts getting into our VLANs, our virtual local area networks information. These are defaulted, no IP address, and it is shut down presently. We also have the line con. This is the console. So if you plugged in a cable, it's talking about that specifically. It's talking about the console port on the back of your switch. That's the line con 0. Then we have the VTY lines. These are needed for remoting. We have 0 through 4 and then 5 through 15. When we access those, it's going to be the same like it was it line con 0 to get into console to make mods, remember? For the VTY, it's very pretty close to the same, except for it's line VTY 0 space 15. Okay, then we're into the VTY. We'll get to that another time. Hit space, and now we're at the end. Of note, if you have to set a lot of basic configurations, and I don't necessarily mean IP addresses, but like you're going to use the same host name, you're going to use the same, maybe not the same host name, that wouldn't be right, but you're going to use the same passwords. What you can do is you can copy this entire running config, whoops, that's too high, all the way up to this exclamation point right here. So I have all that configured. I can hit copy, and then when I go over to my other switch that needs the same basic configurations, I can paste that right into, as long as I'm in the privileged exec mode and the global configuration, paste it and hit enter.
Is there a meet code?
For what?
A meet code?
A meet code? Yes, net, NET1, no space. All right. So just making a little mental note of that one. It will save you time. I don't have time limits on, I don't think anyway, on any of my labs or packet tracers. There's no time limit on those. The only one that will have a time restriction on it is the practice skills assessment, and that you'll have 4 hours, which is more than enough. If I can do it in 2, you can do it in 4. Yes.
One config is what you can use stuff. Control shift 6.
Okay.
How to do stuff.
So you're talking about to show the running configuration. You have to first you got to type in show running config, just like that. Do you see the meeting, or are you in the meeting, or are you just looking at what I have? Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't get to it right away because Firefox wasn't working.
Gotcha.
But then as soon as I was used Chrome.
So we know the answer to these first few questions. How many Ethernet ports do we have? We've got 24. How many gigabit Ethernet ports do we have? 2. What?
His password obviously. I have to pass.
Did you do it on purpose? Oh yeah, we have. Okay, I'm reviewing from when we had last time. Passwords won't be different, provided of course you use the right one. You didn't use the right one, you may want to reset the whole activity.
Oh,
See,
wow.
I thought I used it.
Oh.
Did you service password encryption too? Okay, so there's no telling.
I'm basically screwed.
You know, I don't think it'll work, but try typing in a global config, type in no service password encryption. Try that. I can't guarantee that's going to work. I've never tried it because I use the default passwords that are in the packet tracer so that I don't forget.
I just realized I probably don't have.
I'm just saying. Okay. Okay, so which command will display, I'm sorry, what is the range of the VTY? We already talked about that, 0 through 15, though it is spread out a little bit. Which command will display the current contents of the non-volatile RAM access? Does anybody remember that? It's going to be a show command, that's right. So we don't know what that is. Let's go ahead and find out. We're going to hit the show and then question mark. Remember, this has a valuable helpline to it just as well. We're trying to figure out what our show command needs to be in order to show us what's in our non-volatile RAM. So how about we try start up. I'm going to hit the tab button just because I want to get through that one. Startup config. We have no startup configuration. Okay, so that's exactly what it is. It's your start. You could type in show start. That would do the same thing. Or show startup dash config. Okay. We have no configuration. I have no configurations in this switch. So there is nothing there. But that's what we would use. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to actually change the name of the switch. Now I'm still in S1. So we have to be in the global configuration. So crap. Configure. Okay, configure. I had to think about it. And used to keep having to look over my camera. There you go. configure terminal. That takes us into what? What's the name of this? What? Global configuration. Global configuration. That's right. Now we can make every major configuration that you're going to do on these switches and routers when we get to that is going to be in the global configuration. All right. So now what we want to do, we want to change the actual name of the machine. In order to change the name of the machine, we're changing the host name. Remember when we were talking about computers or PCs this morning, an operating system? We were trying to talk about giving an account to the host. We're talking about that machine, right? Same thing. So we want to change the host name. So that's what you write, host name, and then whatever the name it is you want it to be. We want to change it from switch to S1 in this case. All right. Switch 1. Now we're sitting at 17 of 72 points if you're following along with me or if you are whatever. Then we can hit exit to get out of that again. We go back to our privileged exec mode. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to actually start securing some stuff by applying passwords. So you're following along with the instructions on step 2, part 2, step 2. We're going to go back into the configure, which I'm just going to hit the up arrow, which, by the way, using the up and down arrow will get you to previous commands that you have already used in that session. So if you exit out of it completely and then go back in, you have nothing. Oh boy. Okay, so now that we're in the global configuration, we're trying to change the password for the console. Remember, the console is where we plug the blue line in. So we want to type in line console 0. Everything's right there in step 2. All right, now we want to add a password. We're just going to give it exactly what it says, or exactly what it wants. Password, and then the password is let me in, all one word. Press enter, and then we have to let it know that we want this password to be executed upon the login. So just type in login. Bam, done. All right. Well, it just asked why is the login command required. I just told you. All right.
Probably get
Huh?
Is this a lab?
No, this is a packet tracer. Packet tracer 2.2.3.4.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So now we hit exit. Let's hit exit one more time to get all the way back out. And get all the way back out. Now we have S1Con is now available. So now, when we're ready to log into it, we've actually got to place in the password. Let me in. Remember, it is not going to tell you that it's typing. There will be nothing that comes up in this. Just blank. But it is typing. Now I'm back in. All right. Moving on down. We're going to secure the privilege mode. Enable. Back into the configuration. Figure. Okay. And now we want to secure the enable password. So we want to enable the command that you would use to get into the privilege is going to be enable. So we want to secure that. So you would type that. The enable is what we're trying to fix. We want to place a password on it. And that password is lowercase c, 1, $, lowercase c, 0. Enter. Now we are secure, sort of. Right? But now we have a password on, so we're making steps in our security. Okay, so let's go ahead and end that and exit out of that. So now we're back here. Let me in. Now I typed in EN. I meant to write enable. See, my fingers just go as fast as I want them to. But now I'm required to have a password, which was, what was it again? C, 1, $, C, O. And now we're back in. Excuse me. Okay, so now what we can do is we're going to go ahead and do the show running config again one more time. Hit enter, and now you can see we've got a password that's listed in our configuration. So now we're starting to build a starter configuration.
Oh, did you put in the system one?
Yes, because I have not done the secret one yet, the encrypted one. What's that? That's your console, not your privileged exec. But as you can see, we run down the list, and we still have only got those ones. So we've got, let's see here. There's our enabled password. Show running configure. Config, excuse me. With a dash between the star in front of it. And then, let's see. And there's our password right there for our console, to console in. All right. All right, but that's not good enough for us. So let's go ahead and get into the configuration terminal. One more time. Now we want to do the same thing, but we want it to be a secret password or an encrypted password for our enable to get into our enabled. So same thing. Enable, but this time secret, and then give it the new password, which is listed in our beg your pardon, in our lab or our packet tracer guide to, let's see, I think it's a secret. Yeah, it's a secret. Bam. Okay. So now let's exit all the way back out into the regular privileged exec mode. Hit show, type in rather show running config. Hit enter. And now our enabled password is now encrypted. The new one. I know it still shows the old one, the Cisco. That one's no longer valid. You have replaced it with a new one. And it's encrypted, as you can see right there. However, I'm going to hit the space bar several times to get to the bottom. Our other password, is it good to ever transmit your password or have them available in plain text? No, it is not. No, it is not, because then people can get out to the other. Hit no one more time. Now space bar, not no. Space bar one more time to get to the bottom of that. And now this time, what we want to do is we want to make all the passwords that we have on the switch encrypted. All right, so now configure terminal. All right, enter into that. Now what we want to do is we want to get a service on all the passwords. So we're going to hit service, and then what are we trying to service? The encryption for the passwords. Well, it doesn't work exactly that way, but if you hit PASS or PAS and hit the tab button, you'll get exactly what you need. Service password encryption. Hit enter. Let's exit back out of that. Let's do the show running config one more time. And now all of our passwords, even the old one, is now encrypted. Go down to the bottom, and there's our console password right there as well. Okay? Questions on that? You can use show run if you want. Show run's fine. Or you can type the whole command out like I've been trying to do to give you guys time to keep up. Let me see what you got. Because you're already in it.
Well, I tried to put the in too. Yeah. What happens when it says translating quotes and then it says domain server 255.255.255?
Oh, it's looking for a domain.
How do I end that?
Okay, I'll show you exactly what you need. To stop it, Control-Shift-6, and we'll stop that right away. To stop that permanently, I'm going to show you. Take note of this. Yeah, you can change that a little bit later. Type in no. Oh, wait a minute. It's got to be in the configuration terminal. One more time. Hit no IP domain dash lookup. You type that in, and it will never do that again in that switch. So make note of that. That will be an invaluable command for you. Sure, no problem. Okay. Everybody ready to move on a little bit? All right. So the next thing we want to do, if you remember we started at the very beginning, it just said press return to begin. One of the things we want to do is kind of to cover our own butts, is to make sure that anybody who is accessing that switch is allowed to, and anybody who's not is at least warned that they should not. Because if I don't tell you you can't and you do, well, I never said you couldn't, right? So we're gonna actually add a banner to our initial startup. So that's exactly what we want to do. We want to give it a banner, and then we're gonna type in MOTD, which stands for Message of the Day. I don't know why I don't call it just the mess or just leave it as that banner, because it's not like you go in every day and change it. You don't. It's always going to be MOTD. Then in parentheses, or I'm sorry, not parentheses, sorry, quotations, we're going to type in what the instructions tell us, which is, let's see here. This is a secure system. Oops. Yep, tis.
No, let it be said.
This is a secure system.
I think this is
Period. Authorized access only. Exclamation point, and then another quotation. And then hit enter. Now we can hit end and get all the way back out. Exit one more time. And now we see when we hit the startup, this is basically how it's always going to look something like this, how it starts. But as soon as I hit enter, now we get our warning. You get the warning, this is a secure system, authorized access only. Keep in mind, for packet tracers, they are case sensitive. So if you type it in incorrectly, it won't give you the full points. Passwords and like messages like this, they are case sensitive for some reason. Yeah. You're already at that far. You're already at that far. You can't go any further. Hit exit now. Type in exit after there.
exit after end.
Yes. End only takes you all the way back to the privileged exec, not all the way out. So if you didn't catch that, typing in end anywhere in the global configuration, whether you're in an interface or whatever the case, and we'll get into that more later, end will only take you all the way back to the privileged exec mode. You have to type in exit one more time. That will take you back to the regular user exec mode, or all the way out. All right. So the last thing, this is where it starts to become a rather important feature for you to remember. So let's go ahead and get back into our system. What was the first password again? Let me in, right? Enable, and then it's a secret. Now we're in. Now the last thing we want to do, because now we've pretty much done the very, very, very basic configuration of a switch. We've given it a name, we've given it a password, we've encrypted those passwords, we've given a banner, a message of the day. Now what we want to do is we want to save that, because that's a pain in the neck to do, right? So we don't want it to be complex or difficult. So now we want to save that. So we're going to be in S1. Let's see here. We want to save or copy the running config, oops, and startup config. All right. What's the difference between the startup and the running config? They're kind of, to me, they're self-explanatory. When you start up a system, you're running the startup configuration. While it's running, you're using the running configuration. That's it. So we'll hit copy, run, start. It's going to say, where do you want that? And it's going to ask for your name, the name rather. You just hit enter, leave it as a default. It's building that configuration, and now it's storing that by default in the non-volatile RAM, the NV RAM. Okay? So now we do the same one before, where we hit the show. Show run was the last one. Show startup config.
Oh,
Except for it would help if I spelt it right. And now we can see that we actually have something there, whereas previously we did not. What we just did was configure the startup configuration for this switch. That's the startup configuration. The running one is when we start adding IPs and stuff, which we'll get to that another time. Okay. Questions on that? Not overly complex. You'll get, believe you me, where there'll be enough time where you'll get plenty of practice. to do this because every one of these labs from here to the end of chapter 11, and the final is going to require exactly what we just did. When I took my final for this course, I got a 99% on it. The only thing I forgot to do was save the running config. That was it. Or I got 100. Oh well. Anyway, so let's go ahead and switch over to S2. Go back into the command line info. All we're doing is the exact same thing. This time, though, we're going to lead it with the no domain lookup. So let's go ahead and enter into that. And actually, let me go back. Let's go ahead and go into the enable from the user exec, configure terminal, and now type in no domain, or I'm sorry, that's wrong. IP domain dash lookup. There we go. Now you won't get that annoying, I can't figure out where this is. I'm going to search the domain at 255, so on. This will stop that. It stops it completely. You don't have to worry about it. It'll just say, I don't recognize this command. Or something like that. All right. So what was the first thing that we had to do? We want to change the name. How do we do that? Close. You're missing a word before that, though. You're changing the host, aren't you?
Host name.
Host name. Yes. And this is S2. So change it to S2, not S1. All right. So now you can see that ours has changed. The one thing in the first set of instructions had us do was getting out, exiting several times. We don't always have to do that every single time to test it or to see it. We can do that, well, you can do that at the very end. If you missed something or you did something wrong, you'll see it, okay? But if not, don't worry about it. You've done it correctly. So if you take these steps kind of slowly to start with, you should be all right. So what was the next thing we had to do? We had to give it a password. What password, okay, which got us to what? Kind of. You're on the right track. Yeah. When we console in, when we start it up, we have to console in. So what's that command again? Nope. Try again. You're getting ahead of yourself. No, not quite. We have to change the line console 0. You don't have to, I don't think console is actually, no, it's not. That's the whole command right there. Line con 0. That puts us in the actual console interface. Okay? Then we want to type in our password. Which was what again? Let me in. Oops, it'd help if I could spell it right. All right. And then what was the next part we had to do? There's a part before we exit out. Getting too far ahead of yourself, Paul.
Login.
Log in. Yes, because anytime we have to have this password to get into that console, you got to log in.
Right.
Done. Okay. Now we could exit all the way out. Actually, that's what we should do because we don't want to be in the console port. Now what we want to do is what are we going to do, Paul? Enable password. Yes. Enable password. And was it lower C1 $C0? Bam. Done. Do we have to have login on this one?
No.
No. No, we do not. No, we do not. All right. But that's not good enough for us. We want it to be at least encrypted.
Enable secret.
Enable secret. And that was what again? It's a secret. Enter. You can see I'm sitting at 59 points. I don't know where you're sitting. Hopefully near there or maybe slightly above if you're ahead of me. Say again? If you look at the instructions right here, over in this spot right in this area, 59 of 72.
59 and 72.
Yep. Okay.
Wait, that's about password.
Yes, but understand this. You're right, Tristan. You are 100% right if it worked like that. If it doesn't say 72 or 72, you get a 0. That means you missed something. I need you to get all of these configurations. Okay? All right.
Wait, so if you like mess up one capital,
If it says 71 of 72, you get a 0. It has to be a 72 of 72 to get full credit.
So I don't think I did
Wait, what
the
do you have
access.
This is 59 of 72.
right- I have 50.
Okay,
I think
that's all right.
Wait, right now.
59.
F 30.
Okay. It's like I've said that like 3 times.
Hold on.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get you guys set up. Okay, so down in that right corner, let me get that there. Right there, that's your points. 59 of 72. Now, if you think you have missed something, this only works in your skills integration challenges and your standard packet tracers. This feature does not work with packet tracer skills assessment, practice skills assessment, excuse me. Hit check results. Go over to assessment activities, and it will list everything that you have gotten correct and everything that you've missed.
Oh, you told me that it had to be basic. And that's I just found it.
Is it not?
No, 'cause I got good.
Well, then you're fine. Don't worry.
Oh, it says I have a 59 out of 70.
That's what I have. That's presently. I haven't gotten past
Oh,
that.
no, that's you.
And when you're done, you can hit the close in the bottom right or just exit out. It does the same thing. Gives you your instructions back, blah, blah, blah. Done. Okay. So pulling up the where we left off. We've enabled secret. It's a secret. So now what's the next step that we want to do? Okay. Well, we could do that.
No, let's just
If-
have this.
Getting a little ahead. Not that that's wrong. You could still do that. Wouldn't change anything. Here, I'm going to give you a hint. Show. Oh. Do, show, run. Okay, well, I can still see that one. I can still see that one.
We have to make them both encrypted. but I don't
Yes.
know
Okay, we have to service the password encryption.
how to-
Service. It'd help if I could spell all the way. Password encryption. Now I'm sitting at 62 of 72. We're almost there. What's the last thing we got to do? The next thing we got to do. Yep, we're adding the banner. BANNER MOTD. Where you at, Ryan?
Not that far.
Not quite. Where you at?
Yeah. I'm trying to still running, but
You didn't have to do that. I was just showing you where we needed to be caught up. You're good. You're good. Just service the password encryption.
this is a what?
Huh?
It's on the instructions.
What?
For the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah.
This is a what? Like authorized.
I gotta find it now. There we go.
Personal access only.
That's what it says. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I copied. I copied it from the instructions and then pasted it in. It's just a little faster. So I can come back easy. Okay, yeah. And I can help you. So go ahead and hit search here. And space.
67. Wait, we need to start.
I didn't say hit enter 2. What? And then it spells it right for you. So obviously you're not the best speller, but that's okay. Cisco is, and it knows what it's looking for.
How do you
So-
get started?
Hold on. So if you aren't a good speller or you fat finger something sometimes, and it happens, just type in the first few letters and hit the tab. And it'll tell you. It's either going to be an ambiguous command because there are others that start with the same first few letters. And it'll tell you what it could be, or it'll put the command that you want. Simple. All right. So now we have the message of the day into that. One last step.
Copy running.
Ah, yes. Copy, running. Oh, you got to go all the way back. Forgot about that part. Copy, running, start. You can abbreviate that too to just copy, run, start. As long as there's space in between each one, it'll do exactly the same thing.
I actually. So now we just snip it.
Yes, do. I was thinking about this morning. Don't save the packet tracer. It's one more thing I have to look at. I just want to be able to see this. Just screenshot. I mean, it's fine. It's fine for this time. In the future, just screenshot what you got. Make sure there's your names on it or something like that, so that I can at least be sure that it is yours. You can use the pencil in the snipping tool. I don't care.
As my user of IT, working.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I know.
Because this is right after your. So it should be.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it's all it takes.
They just go to the lowercase f and it wouldn't give me like what did you say to me?
Sometimes it'll be like that. Sometimes it can be. If you missed a step, it just won't give. So again, I'm gonna close that out now. Yes, listen.
This is
Okay.
Oh, that's your first one. That's the one missing.
All right. Let me Let me just capture this real quick so everybody knows. Open up your snipping tool. If you're at this point, snipping tool, hit a new, select it so you can see it, and then just write, oops, something like that.
right, Jason on it?
Or, well, your name, not mine. Basically like that, okay? And then upload that to that. I'm going to come back there and help you in a second, Weston. Any other questions? Any questions about, actually, guess, what was your question, Weston?
So I keep doing like big T.
Okay. Okay, cool. When you're in this right here, does it say that? Or does it say that? I can't hear you. Okay.
So you just want the JPEG? Oh.
That?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, we got to hit the enable. You got to be in the privileged exec.
Okay.
And then it's a secret. Then your configure. Oops. Spelled. Configuration. Configure terminal. And that'll give you what you want. Okay. And that's the first one, the real one.
Oh, no, I was talking about my writing.
Oh, well, I can't help you on that one. As long as I can basically see it.
You just want the JPEG?
Yeah, just the JPEG. I don't want the packet tracer file. It just takes up space and one more thing, I have to try to wait for it to open up and see if you did it right. If we're doing it here, I know you're doing it right. Yes, sir.
It's on his first server. For some reason, it doesn't show up as supposed to be on.
Okay. All right. I'm going to end this video so that